Would a fine stop you from parking on the pavement, or would you not do it because it's really bad for blind people, people in wheelchairs and mums with pushchairs? Anyway, Scottish drivers could receive a £100 penalty if they block the way for pedestrians, with councils enforcing the new rules from today. Will that make the difference?
Transport rights advocate Doug Patel shared this video of himself in Birmingham trying to navigate pavement-parked cars in his wheelchair. So in Scotland, they've decided to fine motorists who park on the pavement, and it's the only part of the UK which is going to do so. So let's speak now to blind disability rights campaigner Dr Amit Patel and lawyer Paul Britton. Very good morning to you. So, Dr Amit Patel, you lost a significant proportion of your sight around 11 years ago.
Yeah, completely blind now.
You're completely blind?
Yeah, so literally lost my sight overnight. So life very much went from being able to see, doing everything, being a trauma doctor, to then completely lost.
Right.
Very much overnight.
So you went, in the context of this debate, you went from being able to navigate everything that faced you on the pavement to now having obstacles like parked cars. How does that make it difficult? Beyond the obvious, how does it make it difficult for you?
Well, you know, for me, pavements should be a safe place. Yeah. It shouldn't be somewhere where I have to navigate around parked cars or dustbins or litter bins or anything. Bikes or scooters, you know, all these little things that you don't really think about when you can see. Yes, absolutely anything. You know, pavement clutter is bad enough anyway. To then have parked cars on the pavement, then you have to walk onto the road to avoid them, which for a visually impaired person with a white cane and guide dog, you know, pulling a buggy behind me with a dog in one hand, is something I don't want to do. We're
just watching pictures now of you, because you use a stick to work out what's in front of you, and we're just watching and seeing how tricky it is when you've got a car parked there. Yeah. Which part of the country are you normally in?
Greenwich, South East London.
Right.
I work in central London every day. So I was taught to navigate the footpaths using the tactiles, using the little bumps and the dots, and that's how I navigate. Yeah. If you've got a parked car in the way, it's something difficult to go around. Because for me, I have a route in my head. I know where I'm going. Yeah. Now, sometimes it's not so easy going around a vehicle. Sometimes I have to backtrack and find a safe way to cross. I'm now on the wrong side of the road. I don't know where I am, and I have to find my way back round again.
We're seeing you just squeezing there between the road and a parked car with your cane. If you had a dog guiding you, you'd have had to have gone onto the road. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, with a cane, you have to hit the obstacle before you know it's there. With a dog, it will avoid it or it'll stop. It's still the dog isn't clever enough to say, right, there's a parked car, we're going to go around it. It's for the guide dog owner to make that decision. Sometimes you just... And plus, with the electric vehicles as well, you can't hear cars coming down the road.
I actually did this when I was a Member of Parliament in Morley for the Royal Society of Protection of the Blind. I did a half-mile walk, blindfolded with a dog, from my office to Morrison's, the supermarket, and it was a nightmare because of parked cars on the pavement and stray shopping trolleys. And until it's happened to you in life, which happened to me because it was like, you know, we invented it just for a one-off, you have no idea how incredibly difficult it is to have a car parked onto the pavement. I just wonder, is that something you ever experienced?
No, I mean, As a lawyer, and as any lawyer would be able to do, there are two sides to every argument. And the picture that's painted is a very good one and an accurate one, but we can't favour one group at the cost of another. Parking on the pavement is quite convenient for a lot of people, even the vulnerable in society. Let's think about when parents are doing the school run. Do schools offer any parking for parents? Now, what we're going to be asking parents to do is actually park further away from a school, and the children have to now travel much greater distances to get to their parents' car.
So that blind people and people in wheelchairs don't have to go onto the roads?
No, but Ed, what we have to do is you can't have a pendulum that swings massively one way and then disadvantages another group. 10,000 primary school children were hit by vehicles outside schools between 2017 and 2020. 10,000. We're now going to ask that group arguably to commute further to a parent's car. Vulnerable people in society, those that are disabled, you know, some do have blue badges so they can park nearer to convenience things like a pharmacy, for example. They now may be asked to park much further away and actually navigate these pavements that we are saying are already cluttered, but we're asking them to park further away.
But, Paul, pavements are not for cars.
Well, no, that's not true, Susanna, actually. In London, in particular, if you don't park partially, a delivery vehicle, for example, delivering to a small business, if you don't park partially on the pavement and you block the highway, you can be fined. The police can get involved and remove your vehicle. So in London, it's not going to be practical, particularly if it blocks our highways. Congestion creates more problems. It creates frustrated drivers. When you have frustrated drivers, we've got cyclists on the roads in their thousands now. And if we look,
it feels to me as though for you though, blind people and people in wheelchairs, they're just sort of been knocked down the queue compared to the convenience of delivery drivers and parents dropping their kids at school. I mean, they can find a safer way to do it. It is unsafe for the blind person if there is a blockage on the pavement. I mean, it's materially different.
There is no data at the moment to say that blind people have been hit by vehicles because they've been navigating round another car. I can understand that it may be a nuisance and inconvenient to them, but there are other factors that need to be taken into consideration.
As a pedestrian, we compromise a lot. When there's road traffic, you know, when there's work being done on the road, the signs are on the pavement. These signs are metal signs. These are solid signs that I've hit myself against. I've hit my cane against it. We compromise enough as pedestrians. Pedestrians need to be safe on the pavement.
You must agree that we can't have highways that are blocked.
Oh, no, I completely agree. I know the infrastructure isn't there. We can't have a blanket ban, and I completely understand that. There's areas that cars have to park on the pavement. But we, as a society, need to make sure that we are safe when we walk out. The last thing I want to think about when I leave my house is, am I going to be safe?
But Amit is fining people £100 the right way, because the rich, it's not a lot of money.
No, absolutely.
So at a time of a cost of living crisis, what you're saying is for the most poor and vulnerable in society, if they have to make a run,
this is the argument for everything.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a tax on any drivers. We have a car. But my wife would never park on the pavement. She would never do that. My wife walks down to the train station on a bin day and moves all the bins to the side.
But your wife isn't visually impaired?
No.
But she's seen the reality of Amit's life.
My wife isn't visually impaired, but it's those selfish drivers who decide to park on the pavement because they want to pop into a shop for 5 minutes.
But not all of these drivers are the selfish drivers. Some of them are doing it out of necessity.
Yes, and I completely understand that.
And the consequences are the same, aren't they? Look, I think also, as a parent, you know, when I had young children, I think it's a real hazard if a car is parked on the pavement because it restricts the amount of space that children have as well. Look, Scotland have decided to go their own way with this. They're the only nation in the UK which has decided to actually ban it. There's going to be a £100 fine. That is good news to you, Dr Amit, isn't it?
It is, but I completely understand that if you live on a road that's got a small road on it and you have to park on it, there's nothing you can really do about that.
Well, except there are, you know, I live in London, obviously, that there are areas where the council has put lines on the pavement to create parking spaces and presumably has assessed that you have enough pavement left to properly navigate.
And Paul, even if you don't like the idea of fines, isn't it quite a good thing for us to have a discussion about things we can choose to do, which are more thoughtful for people who are...
Education is definitely the way forward, and actually bringing the spotlight onto this issue is admirable.
Paul and Dr Amit Patel, thank you very
much
indeed. Good to talk to you both this morning.